But I just want to point out this: the first time I was ever on a microphone was with my dad. He set up 2 microphones connected to our home stereo system, and it was 2 years old. So this is 1983, and he'd come on the microphone and say today's date, January 1st, 1983 or whatever. And I'm here with Jason and Kevin and Melissa. And,
wow.
And how are you doing today, Jason?
He set you up for this.
He set me up for this. Yeah. So my first podcast, if you want to call that a podcast, was 40 years ago in the basement of the Carubia household.
That's amazing. I love it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sounds of Health, where we uncover, I messed that one up. Hi, everybody. All right, I'm taking that again for all of you people live on Facebook there. Hello, and welcome to Sounds of Health, where every week we uncover inspiring stories, meet incredible people, and share valuable resources to help you boost your physical, emotional, and financial well-being. I'm your host, Dave McNiven, and I'm excited to welcome our guest today, Eileen Hansen, Senior Manager of Volunteer Services at Yale New Haven Hospital, and John Carubia, who is a volunteer patient aide on the cardiac unit at Yale New Haven Hospital. If you are here to listen to Eileen and John, please check out some of our past episodes and subscribe, and share us far and wide. We appreciate you listening. Eileen and John, welcome to Sounds of Health.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
I was going to make a little bit of a joke at your expense and say that there was no relation, that our listeners might recognize the name Carubia, but I didn't think it was funny enough, so I've kind of given up on it. So why don't we start with you, John, and just tell us who you are to the show especially, and just tell us a little bit of your background, what you've done, where you're from, and what brought you to doing this volunteer work.
Okay, I'm a retired chemist.
And you're going to want to get as close to that as possible.
I'm a retired chemist, and I'll make a long story shorter. Back in 2022, I went through a cardiac arrest, which lasted an hour. I was in emergency cardiac floor, and then intensive care unit, and then went to the cardiac patient floor in Yale New Haven Hospital. And recovered all from that. It was a long road.
Yeah, I bet.
44 days in the hospital and rehab. Then back in 2023, I have a cardiac defibrillator pacemaker installed. This triggered in 2023. It set me back from my plans. I wanted to volunteer back then. Back then in 2023, I wanted to volunteer, but this set me back. So again, I was in the cardiac floor again. So I sat after that settled down. They settled my medication down, and I finally got into wanted to volunteer again. So I started volunteering back in August, and was going on fine on the cardiac step-down floor. It's not the intensive care unit. I was on the cardiac floor, and back in October 2024, I was on my way to volunteer with this bright red jacket.
Right.
You can see it. I don't know if you can see it this is what they give us to use to volunteer. So if you see any volunteers walking around with the bright red jackets or the polo shirts,
that's very identifiable.
Very identifiable. So anyway, on my way back then in 2024, actually Halloween coming up, I was hit by a car. I'm walking as a pedestrian. So recovered from that, and the empathy, the sympathy from the volunteer department, Eileen, the cardiac floor patients, nurses. I mean, the nurses were like, wow. So I was determined to get back in to volunteer because it's such a uplifting experience to talk to patients. Knowing that I've been in there, in that bed as a patient.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be there with them.
Yeah.
So I know how important it is, even just to talk to somebody or what they're going through, because every room has a story. Everyone has a health issue. Some are very traumatic, but talking it out is really good. It's really uplifting to me and to them. And I do things like get ice water, get a tray, order dinner. Since it's the cardiac floor, I do other things that are allowed that I can't do everything. That's only a nurse but a patient aid volunteer. It's like a supplement to.
And maybe some of the things that the nurses aren't thinking of, or something that you can help with, right?
Correct. They are so busy. Nurses and there's PCAs, which are also they are so busy with patients. Some of them require more.
So, and you really benefited from the volunteer services there at the hospital when you were going through your challenges?
Yes. Well, actually, I don't remember anybody visiting my room.
Okay.
Of course, I might have been out of it.
Which time were we talking about?
Yeah, which time, one of the 3 times. But I know when the last time when I was hit by a car, I did not see any volunteers come through. And they were probably busy on the floor. It does get busy.
I bet.
So putting some quality time in with a patient is really important to them.
Yeah, that's great.
Some people have,
No, go ahead. Finish.
Some people have some people, when you walk in a room, they really want to talk. They really want to express what their concern is. And some people just say, "Oh, I'm okay." So I go on to the next room, and we wear a badge, and I introduce myself. Is there anything I can help you with?
Mm-hmm. That's great. Now, do you want to tell people what your relationship to Sounds of Health is?
Yes. Well, my son is one of the producers of it.
He is the producer of it.
Producer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am the producer. For the time being, yes. Until we upgrade into a professional studio.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And we'll bring somebody on to replace him, and he'll get to do the fun stuff.
Right, exactly. But I just want to point out, this is the first time I was ever on a microphone was with my dad. He set up 2 microphones connected to our home stereo system. And it was 2 years old. So this is 1983. And he'd come on the microphone and say, today's date, January 1st, 1983 or whatever. And I'm here with Jason and Kevin and Melissa. And,
wow.
And how are you doing today, Jason?
He set you up for this.
He set me up for this.
Yeah.
So my first podcast, if you want to call that a podcast, was 40 years ago in the basement of the Carubia household.
That's amazing. I love it. Well, we're glad that you're here, and we're glad that you recovered from that accident. That was a very scary time for everybody, so we're really happy to have you here.
Can I just add one more thing for safety?
Sure.
On the street I come in on, I see a lot of nurses and technicians walking the street. The parking lot is on 926 Howard Avenue.
Yeah.
And since the accident, I always push the button, cross the street when the lights are there. But there are still technicians and nurses who do not pay attention. They just jaywalk and walk back and forth in between cars. And it does get busy. So
Definitely does.
So I just have a suggestion. If anybody's seeing this, don't do that.
Yeah.
And put your phone down, right?
Yeah.
Put your phone down. Everybody has their phone.
Yes.
Yeah. Be intentional about where you are. Know your surroundings. Take your time. I know we're all in a rush. I mean, that's just the way we live our lives, right? But it's things like that. It's moments like that one mistake and then you can't get it back. So take some time. I think that's a good tip.
Yeah.
You're already getting ahead of the whole health hacks section, so I appreciate that. So Eileen, let's hear from you. So tell us a little bit about where you're from, what your background is, and what brought you to do what you're doing today.
I've been employed by Yale New Haven Hospital for 19 years. This month.
Wow! Congratulations.
Next month. Sorry.
That's amazing.
October. I started my career in the surgery department, Temple Surgical Center. I was in the business end of it. And then I became the administrative manager of Smilo Women's Oncology, which I also did a lot of outreach for the breast center. Also, I was the administrative manager for cancer and genetics, and that kind of expanded. And I was there for about, 7-8 years at Smilo. And I was going for my master's. I was the oldest person in my class. Wasn't, but that was okay. And I was walking down the hallway over at the St. Raphael's campus, and the former director of volunteer services for the health system tapped me on the shoulder and said, I think I might have an opportunity for you. And I was, me? Yeah, we had met at I sat on a couple of meetings with her, and I was like, volunteer services? And so lo and behold, got my master's, applied for the position, got the position, and then 6 months later, COVID hit.
Oh, wow.
We had one of the largest volunteer programs in the nation. We had close to 2,000 volunteers. Very, very robust. I think we had about 10 coordinators, a very full staff. And when COVID hit, shut it all down.
Of course.
Volunteers went home. We were all redeployed to different roles. We oversaw the staffing for the statewide vaccination clinics, which was phenomenal. Made a lot of connections, and in any career, connections is key, right? But especially in volunteerism, right? And promoting volunteerism. So fast forward 3-4 years, we slowly welcomed the volunteers back. The volunteers supported those vaccination clinics. So that was great to have, a very small number of volunteers back on that, in that role. And then slowly and surely we built up. A couple of retirees in my staff, very hard to get replacement when you didn't have any staff, any volunteers on site, but that has gotten better and better. And happy to report close to 1,500 volunteers.
That's excellent.
In fiscal year
That's
24. So we're super, super excited about that. And a lot of buzz in the office, which I'm very happy about when there's a lot of chatter in the office. And I'm constantly up and greeting, and that really, I love my work. I love my job because of that. And again, those connections, those friendships that you make. We had 150 high school students over the summer. That was the largest we've had since COVID. We had 350, was a little bit much. Over the summer, from all over the state, even from out of state, they come. We had somebody from Virginia, a high school student from Virginia and Pennsylvania. Their parents have summer homes in Connecticut, so that's super cool. We have our high school program for fall started yesterday, and it's just having raised teenagers. I wasn't sure, oh goodness, what's this going to be like with all these teenagers in our department, but it's phenomenal, and you see their growth at the beginning of the session to the end of the session, and they meet other students from other schools and make new friendships, and you really see them come out of their shell. If they come in a little, the hospital is huge.
Yeah. Could be
over
overwhelming,
1,500 beds just at York Street alone.
Right.
So to see that growth is really rewarding for all of us in volunteer services. So that's my career in a nutshell. It's been quite an experience. I am about to retire in a couple of weeks.
Congratulations.
So I'm super excited about that and the next chapter of my life. But and I was telling John that I'm officially a volunteer too. Within the last couple of weeks, I've signed up to be a volunteer. I also am the hospital liaison to the auxiliary, the board, and so I'm going to stay on with them. I really like their vision, a lot of fundraising, and I have a lot of background in that too. So they provide a lot of services to the patients of Yale New Haven Hospital. They just awarded $250,000 of grants to all different departments within the hospital. My department wouldn't run without the auxiliary grants. So they provide a lot of resources for us to then provide to our patients. So it's a phenomenal group. So I'm really super excited about that.
Now, did you see yourself getting into a role like this? Like when you went back for your master's, what was the plan and what was the impetus for going and continuing your education?
No, I loved working at Smilo. I was always busy. Again, that's really important to me, not to necessarily sit behind a desk. I worked on a lot of different projects at Smilo, so I kept, coming out of my comfort zone. Did I want to go back to school or after 50? Not necessarily, but it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. My previous director had said, because I kept getting pulled into all these different projects, perhaps you would benefit, going back to school. So University of New Haven had a cohort program right at Yale where you get your master's in healthcare administration in 3 years. And I literally went up to the 4th floor at Smilo once a week, and that's where my classes were.
Oh, that's great.
So it was great.
Wow.
It was great.
Convenient.
And again, there was about, how many of us in that cohort? I would say maybe 22, 23. And, I still get in touch with them from all facets of the hospital. So it's been really great as I build my career to have those connections again and friendships. So
that's really important.
But yeah, it was, the last time I went to college, we went down into the library and went through the, the files to get a file, a journal out or something that you're researching, a book out, and everything's online, and it was so much easier. It was so much easier, and it was a challenge, but there were 2 of my classmates that had babies during our program, so I couldn't complain. My kids were grown. It was just me and my husband. So if I didn't have the time, if they had the time, I could certainly find the time. And so it was a really wonderful experience. And my first go round of undergrad, let's just say I didn't do so great in the grades. And this time I graduated with a 4.0. So
that's awesome.
Super.
Nice.
I was really proud of myself.
I always think that I would do better in school now than I did back then.
Absolutely.
That I'd want a second chance at it because I think I'd enjoy it a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And just having that idea of you never stop learning. You always want to kind of thirst for new knowledge and learn new skills and things like that. But this role that you've been in for the past, how many years have you been in this role?
I've been in this role for, for 6 years.
6 years,
6
okay.
years.
This was not on your radar.
No.
What do you think it was that somebody said, oh, she'd be perfect for it?
So the previous director was interviewing one of my staff at the time for a position in volunteer services. and I met with her and just gave, I gave unbelievable positive feedback about this person. And I think that she told me that was the best feedback that she ever got about someone on an interview, honest feedback. And I guess that impressed her.
That's
it was
very
the
cool.
way that I spoke about my employee.
Yeah, it's really cool that you actually giving feedback on someone else ended up opening up a door for your opportunity, which is great.
Yeah, and on other meetings,
that.
I think too, she had said, but and I, found out many years later that the competition was pretty stiff, that I was up against somebody who had worked in a leadership role in HR. So I I was really proud of myself that I got the position.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really
meant to be.
Yeah. And I think
exactly.
too, like talking about going for my master's, and being a runner and being goal oriented. And I think that, being physically active and really did impact me coming out of my comfort zone, right? So everything is, I was a marathon runner. So it's like, okay, well, I can run marathons. I can go back to school. Okay, I could, so being goal oriented and really helped with that, with, I think, my career choices. Also, as a mother of 3 daughters, I wanted them, I got divorced after 26 years of marriage. I wanted them to see that, anything is possible if you put your mind to it, so I wanted to be a good role model.
It sounds like you were and are. So that's
Yeah.
really excellent. So I love that story too, because you really never know what interaction you're having with a person and where that's going to lead.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's really, that's amazing.
Those elevator conversations, right, too.
Yeah.
You never know where those are going to lead to.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's clear that you care about and invest in other people, and that's what really is what came through. So that's really excellent. So let's talk a little bit about this role that you're in and the work that you guys do with the volunteer program. What's the scope of it? Where are the volunteers actually working within the hospital? And what are some of the biggest challenges?
I think, okay, that's a lot of questions, but, I just want to go back to what John had said. When John was admitted after his car accident, he was like a celebrity on that unit.
Really?
Everyone remembered him for when he was there after his heart attack. And they just adore him and, couldn't do enough for you, as they are with all patients. But I have to say, they just, they were upset that you were up there, but glad that you ended up on their, on their
Right.
unit, because they knew you so well as volunteering. In regards to volunteering at the hospital, there are so many different assignments. I think we have close to over 300 different unique assignments. We also, not only on that, we have 2 campuses, York Street campus and the St. Raphael's campus. So we place at both sites. We also place at the off-sites, Smilo, Divine Street in North Haven, Guilford, Torrington, Waterbury. We just placed a volunteer over at the radiation oncology here in Hamden. So I don't think we have enough time for me to talk about all the different assignments.
Yeah, I mean the scope of it, just that sounds amazing.
Yeah, so patient aid is probably the most intense patient contact role for a volunteer. You're on the unit. Just like John had said, you're really supporting the staff. And by having volunteers in general, you are now to do some of the stocking and the rounding on the patients. You're allowing the staff more time with the patient, believe it or not, more time for them to have a great conversation with because instead they're just running. I mean, they're super, super busy, but volunteers not only enhance the patient's experience more than I could ever imagine, but they also support the staff. So we have patient aid, again, probably that's the most intense. And then we have ambassadors, and that's a very, very important role too. They are right at the main entrances, helping escort patients and their families. They're one of the first people when you walk into the hospital that you are greeted by, and you're coming into the hospital.
Yeah.
That's kind of nerve-wracking, right? So to be met with someone who has a volunteer jacket or a polo on and a big smile on their face helps alleviate that nervousness, and have a conversation to get their mind off of what they're there for. And then we have behind the scenes, so we do a lot of office work. So we have a lot of college students, grad students that work on different projects throughout the hospital, and help support different departments. An example, patient relations. we get a lot of lost belongings in the hospital. So we have a volunteer help do the research, find, who this could belong to, and then help get it back to the patient that lost belonging came from. We have a great music visitation program. Pretty much every single day at the York Street campus, we have someone playing the piano.
That's
We
great.
have a grand piano that was donated to Smilo by the Beckerman family. So we have violinists that round their patient aides, but then they come back and play the violin at the bedside. What else? We have volunteers over at the Teaching Kitchen, which is new with Digestive Health over at Divine Street, where they teach. They run classes on good nutrition after having issues with your digestive health, after having bariatric weight loss surgery, or just, so that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So the volunteers help with prep and cleanup. They love it there. I'm reading all of my notes here. Oh, we have, how could I forget, Oasis for Healing program, which our volunteers, we get a referral from staff, social work, nurses, but they also round on the units, and they provide Reiki, which is kind of like a touchless healing mode, right? Relaxation. They do guided relaxation. They do guided meditation. And they are all trained to be Reiki certified, which is pretty intense. And so that's phenomenal. And the way that they show the success of a Reiki visit, how do you think? The patient falls asleep. So it's phenomenal. We get a lot of requests for that. Our Reiki volunteers are just a unique group that they just really see the healing powers of meditation, the healing powers of connection for the patients. You want me to keep going?
So, I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of opportunities.
There's a lot. Pet therapy is huge.
Are you identifying these opportunities and then trying to enlist people to fill them, or is it the other way around? Are people coming to you and saying, "Hey, I do something I think might benefit"?
Absolutely.
Is it
a little
both
bit of
ways?
both?
Yeah.
A little bit of both. We onboard volunteers the same way as we do employees, so it's very, very strict.
Sure.
So
That
criminal
makes sense.
background check. They have to get all the same immunizations that an employee does. So they have to get cleared by our occupational health program. We have a lot of trainings. And then they apply. They apply first on our website. Then they get invited to a group interview virtually. And that's where we find out from the volunteer, why do you want to be a volunteer? What interests you? What's your background? Do you want to do something completely different? Or do you want to, we have a lot of retirees from Yale New Haven Hospital that come back to volunteer. We have, like I said, we have high school, college, adult, retirees. It's just runs from 15 to, our oldest volunteer was, I think, 92.
Yeah.
So from 15 years old to 92 years old. So they're interviewed, and then that's where we look at the assignments that we have available. And then we look at, what their interests are. And then if we get a really unique interest in something, we will, that's where all those 19 years of connections come in. I'll reach out to a contact that I have in this department, a contact that I have in another department, and say, hey, I've got this great grad student from UNH who's in healthcare analytics, a great college adult who's really interested in addiction medicine. Do you think you want to do a pilot or try a volunteer? And 99% of the time they say yes, but
Really?
but
That's
not
great.
too many people can say no to me. My husband will attest to that. So
That's your superpower.
yeah, that's my superpower. But yeah, and I think too, when we have volunteers like John, and they hear from the patients how wonderful it was, and patients will share more many times with a volunteer than they will with the clinical staff, especially if they are there for something that there's a stigma attached to, like substance use disorder. So
Right.
we have recovery volunteers that are active in their own recovery. That round on the patients, again, we get a referral from the staff. They're here for, alcoholism or substance use disorder, and we have a ton of resources on that the volunteers, same thing like John said, hey, not just, I'm just here to talk if you want to talk.
Yeah.
Don't push anything. Just this was my life. Here's some resources, and if you're interested. And so that's another one of my, I have lots of favorite programs.
It sounds like it. Yeah.
So if we touch one patient, to get to go to a meeting or to have a conversation, that's a success to us in a very much needed area now more than ever. So so they see the other volunteers. They hear from patients. They hear from staff how wonderful it is. So it's I don't necessarily have to sell volunteerism in a hospital. Again, Yale has one of the oldest volunteer programs, and I think we're back up there as one of the biggest, but we're on our way back there. So.
I'm sure everybody took a hit during COVID, and they're starting to build back up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a long process.
Yeah. So John, tell us a little bit more about what your volunteer work means to you. I mean, I know it's based on kind of this personal experience you had, but what keeps you going with it, and what do you like most about it?
To know that there are people who are worse off than I was, believe it or not, even though my cardiac arrest was an hour. There are people there who are amputees, people with hearts that are mechanically in operating. Some people had to go for a heart transplant. So there are people who are worse than I am, worse than I was. And some of them are very, very faithful. They are very, very strong. And I have empathy for those people who their health is not. You want them to get better. I just wish I could do more. So, it's what I get out of it. It's good to know that I've tried to help somebody. Every day I say a little prayer. Help me to help this person through their health trauma, and when I leave a patient in the room, they like to talk to me. Some patients have gotten back to other nurses. Where is he? Where is John? I mean, unfortunately, I only do one day a week, Thursdays 3 to 7. Maybe I'll do more later on after my wife's surgery gets through. So
Yeah.
I look forward to it. It's when I get there, like Eileen says, I do simple things like I stock PPE, which is gloves and masks, gowns. And when a nurse is looking for these things to take care of a patient, you don't want to have an empty box there. So
very important work.
So I do a lot of it, and then there's other things like ordering meals. I go up there, this patient just got in, needs to have a meal, or I can order a meal from the cafeteria. So for them. So it's important too. it's
Just showing them the television, how to work the television.
That's-
I'm sure that comes up a lot.
And
Yeah.
so it's very
Or
important
something.
work.
I also heard that there are some people actually read to pediatric patients.
Yes.
It's
Bedside stories.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I know somebody who does that, and she's been doing it a long time.
We
So
have
there's-
sorry.
No, go ahead.
We have a very, very robust group of volunteers in the Children's Hospital. Everybody wants to hold babies. Everybody wants to be a cuddler. I think we
Yeah.
have a 2 to 3 year wait for cuddlers.
Oh, wow.
But there are a lot of other things. So we partner with the Child Life Program. We have volunteers in the Children's Resource Room. We have volunteers in the game room. And I'm only touching very, very lightly on the Children's Hospital. Part of my role as the auxiliary too is that they have a toy closet on every unit in the Children's Hospital. So every child that comes into the hospital gets a brand new toy that's been donated. And
Nice.
again, we gave out 350,000 toys last year.
That's amazing.
And that's all run by volunteers too. So they fill up these wonderful carts and go stock the closets. And then, so that's really great. But everything that John said is so important. Again, that making those connections with the patients. Can I talk about another program?
Of course.
So we have a program with, it started with the Trumbull College, and it's Dwight Hall students at Yale University. And it's called the Living History Program. And the students come in and they interview the patients in Smilo. And they write up kind of like a mini biography.
That's great.
And they share, and they go back and forth with the patient, make sure they get everything correct. And then they share it with the staff on a whiteboard. John knows what a whiteboard is in the room, but the patients just, love giving it to their families. So that's another great program, the Living History Program. There's a lot, but just spending the time with the patient, because there's so many patients that have no family. Or no one, and I was talking about the recovery that many patients, that are there for substance use disorder will talk to a volunteer before they'll talk to staff, clinical staff,
Yeah.
But also the volunteer is also the voice of the patient, where they can escalate concerns to staff. This patient needs to go to the bathroom. This patient's been waiting for their meal. So the volunteer can be there. If they're confined to a bed, they can be, go and alert the staff.
How much training are the volunteers receiving?
A lot.
Yeah.
It's like going for a job.
It's the same. It's very similar to a new employee.
Yeah.
So our orientation mirrors that. So they're trained on all the, HIPAA and privacy rules, requirements. They're trained on all of the infection prevention guidelines. They're trained on, scripting. Our orientation is 92 pages long.
Yep.
And then in addition, we do virtual trainings for patient aid. I think that's about 2 hours. The patient aid trainings, an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
That we partnered with nursing education on that. So they, because for the most part, none of us are clinicians in my department.
Yeah.
So we have to lean on our nursing education partners to help us with that. Just the signage alone, what rooms you can enter, contact precautions.
Yep.
There's a lot to learn.
A lot to learn,
Yeah.
proper PPE.
Yes.
It's a lot. It's a lot of trainings, ambassador trainings, empathy trainings. That's in the ambassadors, wheelchair training. So
And are you always looking for volunteers? I know you said there's a
Always.
wait list for the Children's Hospital.
just for children's,
Yeah.
but we try to, that's for the cuddlers, but we do a very good job into convincing them into doing something else.
Something else, yeah.
Pretty much all of our PVs, potential volunteers, they're looking to come in to make a difference, like John.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for a sense of purpose. They're looking for socialization, health benefits, physical benefits. It's been proven. Let me get to my notes. The Academy, there was actually a research study, the American Journal of Preventative Medicine followed volunteers who gave at least 2 hours a week for 4 hours. So we do have requirements. We have a requirement of 3 to 4 hours once a week for 6 months, a 60-hour requirement for adults and college students. So back to this study, they found that volunteering has a positive effect on both mental health, cognitive abilities, and that in older volunteers, it delayed cognitive decline because you're learning all new skills too.
I believe that.
And you're constantly being challenged, So, the positives are really important before we even accept a volunteer. Why they want to do it is very important to us too.
And they're getting as much out of it as the patients are getting out of having them there.
Absolutely.
Right.
You see the smiles on their faces and they're getting a lot out of it. And then they tell me all about it every day too. They share how they help patients. They shared how they help staff.
Yeah.
And we have 8 coordinators in the office, so admin staff. So, there's a lot of people. Like I said, there's a lot of chatter in the office, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
That's a success in my eyes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It's busy there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the biggest challenge in getting volunteers or in making sure that you have what you need?
I think the biggest challenge for us is, having good follow through, making sure they adhere to that requirement. There's as you heard, there's a lot of work involved on our end. There's a lot of resources involved, that cost involved in bringing a new volunteer in. So if you get somebody in that, doesn't give us that commitment, that's a challenge.
And you said the commitment was over 3 months? It was
6 months.
6 months.
Yep, 3 to 4 hours a week over 6 months or 60 hours, right?
Gotcha.
So in the summer college students, they'll do twice a week to get try to get as many hours as we can. The way that we show the success in our department, because we're a non-income producing department, right, is by the number of volunteers that we have and the number of volunteer hours. So that's how my budget is set.
Yeah.
That's how everything is set. That's how I have 2 new positions. The reason why I have 2 new positions is because, again, we had met that 1,500 number.
Right.
And there's an actual metric that places a monetary value on a volunteer. And the state of Connecticut is one of the highest, and it's like $34 an hour. So that's how I tell our story, is in not only in the stories about the impact of volunteers make on the patients, but also in the financial benefit to the organization. So, that volunteers provide.
Right. So you're making a case for
Always.
for this.
Always.
Okay.
And so that's a challenge. I think the onboarding process, like I mentioned, is pretty extensive.
Yeah.
Background check.
Yep.
Have to go through occupational health, which is that's pretty easy now. You can just scan all your immunizations. We no longer require COVID, which was really holding back a lot of people coming into the hospital. So so that requirement was lifted a few months ago, we really need to keep our volunteers engaged. John is definitely engaged on the unit, so that's another purpose that I have, is to make sure staff keep our volunteers engaged, because an engaged volunteer is one that we retain.
Right.
So that's, many of our positions, many of our assignments are fluid, right? So the college students, they're here for 4 years, for our local students, or they come home for the summer. But many of our college students came to us in high school, and then they stay on.
Yeah.
So, but we want to retain our volunteers, and we have volunteers that. I have a volunteer. We saw him at the luncheon. He's been volunteering for over 50 years.
Yep.
That's amazing.
50
Wow.
years.
He had a
So-
standing ovation.
He
Wow.
got a
That's
standing
incredible.
ovation. Yeah. And there's a great story behind that, but it's he's very special to us.
I bet.
And so and he's been volunteering in the same department for close to those 50 years, pharmacy.
Wow. That's awesome.
Where he helped develop a structure there that they still use to this day. So
Talk about having an impact.
yeah, having an impact. Yeah. So we have volunteers. Like I said, they stay for a long period of time, which is great for us.
And
They become family.
I assume you're going out there and promoting this program. Do you go out to schools and things like that to let people know about it, or how are people finding you?
It's amazing. They find us. So
Yeah.
we were doing some recruitment at senior centers, and but we don't necessarily have to do so much recruitment now. I have to say we've had to shut down our high school program within 3 weeks because we were at max capacity. And so we have a very, very a large number of applicants, which is great. And so we haven't had to do a lot of recruitment. We have a lot of our marketing team loves our volunteers, which is great. Our social media team. So we have a very great pet therapy group of volunteers. So the four-legged volunteers are some of the fan favorites. So they helped
They must make
with
for good pictures.
Yeah, and they were all at the Closer to Fee ride. So then my phone was blowing up with people with their
Right.
dogs wanting to come in and volunteer. So I think having the social media presence of the importance of volunteerism and word of mouth is one of my favorites. It's just volunteers loving what they do, going to tell their friends. That is probably the best recruitment we have is with our volunteers.
And if someone is interested in volunteering, where do they go?
They go to our website, YaleNewHavenHospital.org, and in the upper right-hand corner is a little thing that says volunteer, and it tells all about the different programs that we have, just highlights a few and what the requirements are, and you can apply right online. And then you get invited to a group interview within a couple weeks.
What is the most unique kind of skill or request a volunteer has had that's come your way?
To volunteer?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Is there one that stands out in your mind? I'm sure there's a bunch of them, but...
Oh, goodness. I'm trying to think of the one that I just had that I'm trying to find a placement for. We had a lot of students with that were going into engineering, clinical engineering, so we formed a partnership. Anesthesia tech reached out, an anesthesiologist within the hospital, so we just started placing volunteers in there. A lot of analytical. That's the hard part is when volunteers have this really great, they have multiple degrees or have worked they're physicians, right? And now they want to come to volunteer, and we have to say, okay, we'd love you to be a volunteer, but you can't be a doctor.
Right.
So, okay, well, we know that you have this background in analytics, but this is what we need right now. It's, data entry, inputting data for this department. Yeah. But most unique, bringing a pony in, I think, someone a couple of years ago had asked if they can bring in, their pony. And we were like, dogs is all we're doing right now, and that's all we ever will do. But I'm trying to think. we have former newscasters, we have former VPs of major corporations, so they mentor a lot of the high school students and mentor a lot of the college students just by their presence. But I can't think of anything really, really unique.
I mean, those, I think you covered a few already.
He talked about amputee. We have amputee peer-to-peer with patients, volunteers who have gone through their own amputation, round on patients about to have an amputation.
Yeah.
We have heart and vascular transplant. We have a lot of volunteers that have had heart transplant that round up with patients that have either had a transplant or about to.
Yeah.
Liver and kidney transplant, same thing. Somebody who's had that kind of a transplant. So.
Yeah, that must be pretty impactful to hear from someone who's been through what you're about to go through.
Yeah, but unique-wise, I think they're all, they're all unique, but nothing that stands out.
Okay, well, I think you mentioned a few that stood out in my mind, so that's great. Thank you. So it sounds like it's an incredible program that's so important, especially when you think about how tough it is for people when they're in the hospital, going to the anxiety that comes with all of that. To have volunteers around that are helping you to kind of navigate through it is so important.
So true.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for being here and for telling our audience all about this program.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great to have you.
John, for always being there.
Yeah.
Great job, John.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't know where your son came from, but it's obvious he fell far from the tree.
Yeah, I just want to add the end of the story with that record player down in the basement, the home stereo system. So I had a very inquisitive mind as a kid, and my brother and I just destroyed that record player. We tore that thing apart.
See, I told you. I think your dad was about to kill me for talking badly about you.
Maybe that's it. But yeah,
see, this is what I'm
pulled the
talking
needle
about.
off the arm on it. I think that was the second one. You had to get 2 record players. Yeah, and I made sure
I have another record player.
Oh no,
one that you kept away from them.
I'm gonna lock it up.
Yeah, that's a good one. So we do have a tradition here at Sounds of Health where we ask our guests to share a health hack with the audience. So this is something that you do in your life that helps you to improve your physical, emotional, or financial well-being. So anything come to mind?
You want to go first, John, or you want me to go first?
Try to keep organized.
Oh, good one.
Oh, you're the first one to say that, I think.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about what do you do to keep organized?
A longer pencil is better than a short memory.
A longer
pencil is better than a short memory. So I always write notes or I have a list of things, prioritize.
Yeah, that's great. I like that.
Whereas things start falling away.
That's great.
I also liked how you make a good effort of going for a walk. That's a very important thing that you do.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah. I haven't for a while, but I will get back to it.
Great. How about you, Eileen?
I have lots of health hacks. Very active since I met your sister, Dave,
Right.
30
we didn't talk about that on the podcast, but
I've run 7 marathons. I've run so many half marathons. I did the New Haven Road Race with your sister years and years. Stopped running a couple of years ago just because everything started to hurt. But I've always, worked out pretty consistently, 3 to 4 times a week, challenging myself, coming out of my comfort zone, finding, having that sense of purpose too, and so much that I do. But my number one health hack, I think, is laughing.
Yeah.
I just think it puts you in a different mindset. If you hear a good joke, my husband is very funny, or so he thinks, and we laugh all the time. So I think, just laughing.
so important.
I got a good joke.
Important. Go ahead.
This is going to come out around, I think, Black Friday, right?
Okay.
So how do you find a pirate on Black Friday?
How?
You look for the sales.
That's a dad joke, Jason.
What?
That's a dad
such
joke,
a dad
man.
joke.
Come on.
I think we have to work on our jokes for the show. Laughter is important.
Maybe it is. Yeah.
So important, yeah. And again, that staying active is huge.
Yeah.
I had a pretty bad injury back in July, and I couldn't walk for 4 weeks. I couldn't sit. I couldn't stand, and that really put things in perspective to me. How active I was, and how much I was missing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just got broken up by my physical therapist today, so I'm good to go.
Excellent.
Not to the
Congratulations.
extent, that's the hardest thing as you grow older is, telling yourself that you can't do the things that you used to do. And so I probably pushed it a little too hard.
Yeah.
And I had 2 herniated discs pressing on a nerve. So that's where I had lost
Gotcha.
pretty much all the feeling in my left leg.
Oh, wow.
So, So keep moving. Yeah.
Yep. That's a
keep
good one,
laughing,
too.
keep moving, keep smiling, keep volunteering.
All right, we'll leave
There's
it
a
at
plug
that.
there.
That works well for this episode. We'll leave it with keep volunteering. So thank you both again for your time today. Thank you for being guests on Sounds of Health. We appreciate you and all that you're doing. And Eileen, congratulations on your upcoming retirement.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
a big, milestone for people.
Yes.
If doing this show has taught us anything, it's that retirement is only the beginning.
Yes.
So we wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank all of you out there for listening to Sounds of Health. That's a wrap on another episode brought to you by Nutmeg Insurance Advisors and recorded at the offices of Nutmeg Advisory Group. I'm your host, Dave McNiven. Sounds of Health is produced by Jason Carubia and has amazing music by Rob Hames. Every week, we bring you stories that inspire, empower, and help you upgrade your health and life. If you enjoy the show, please be sure to like, share, subscribe. Share us far and wide. We're trying to build our audience in this community of wellness, and we hope that you will continue to be a part of it. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.